So we're good to go, man. So hey guys, welcome to today's Zoom call. So today's Zoom call is about how like I've been using Evernote for a long time, and I thought I would give a session on how I'm using Evernote and things. But then last week I put up a poll where I realized that actually Evernote has not been used by so many people, and Notion has suddenly become like the tool that a lot of people are using. And as Devansh already mentioned, that I came across his tweet where he shared how he's planning his goals using Notion. So somewhere two and two went together, and I decided that okay, let's do a combined session, and it would be so like the format that we are kind of thought of is I'll maybe kick off things. I'll start off by sharing the my Evernote ideas, and that would be like 15 minutes maybe. And then Devansh, I think he's going to do like a 30-minute session on Notion. So he has some templates and ideas about how he uses Notion. And the last 15 minutes we can keep for any questions, any particular questions that you have based on what we discussed today. Yeah, Devansh, is that pretty much what we
Yeah,
discuss? Yeah.
yeah, correct. Yeah, so like Abhishek will discuss Notion because I used Notion for the past 5 years. Even I've been a heavy Notion user, and I felt like,
Evernote, man.
okay, what is it? Sorry, Evernote. Sorry. So I thought, what is it that about Notion that Evernote does not have? And so this would be a very good comparison.
So let me just quickly set up my notes and stuff. Just a second. Just give me a moment here. Yeah. So let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, you can see it.
You can see it. Cool. So I'm going to necessarily talk about three ideas. So like one is how do I like one of the things that I do is, and I think most of us do, is read a lot of blog posts, read a lot of content around either programming or self-improvement, things like that. So I've got a nifty little workflow that I'd like to show about how you can capture information and do that kind of a thing. And then the other two ideas which I'll quickly talk about is one, journaling, and the third one is like a daily, like the idea of having like a daily fill notebook. So let me just quickly start off with the daily fill thing. I think let's just start off with this one. So the idea that the idea behind having like a notebook like this is that football players, like they have their warm-up routines before playing a game. They have before every training session they would have something like a ritual of sorts. As knowledge workers, how can we have something similar, as in like how can we have something like a warm-up ritual? So one of the ideas which I picked up from, I think, one of somewhere in the Evernote forums, and this has like stuck with me, is like having a personal notebook of ideas, tweets, not ideas, but tweets, quotes, images, or videos, which have which I would like to imbibe in my daily, let's say, daily life. So an example would be, like this Alan Watts video, if you can see. This one is something which I really like, and I generally, like to watch a video just to start off my day. And then there is this effective entrepreneur course that I did, and this is basically the distillation of the ideas that are there. So this is something which I want to quickly, just take a grab, just browse through it, and inherently what happens is that once you uh, keep seeing the same notes again and again, so what happens is that you are also imbibing some of these values, like your identity is being changed. And the important thing is that you should only have like 5 or 10 notes, as in like don't you know uh, keep this as another of those inboxes, like email inbox, or like a favorites inbox. Keep this which is your personal favorites and something which you will review every day. So, and I just I'm giving you like a very inside view of what are these different, it will be very personal to you, but I'll tell you, over a period of time this ritual will you know help you a lot. So this was my first kind of uh, any questions, quick questions, guys? Anything that you want to quickly ask about this before I move on to the next one? Are we good? So yeah, I
So,
think
Abhishek, can you explain what is the shortness of time? Like the
uh,
module which I think I missed it over there.
no. So the shortness of time is just a philosophy of which a lot of Stoics have. Is that once you start seeing life in this, like this image that you have, and once you see that actually you just have these many circles that you can inherently well, at the best case scenario you're going to live till 90 or something. So this gives you some perspective about how much time you have already spent on earth, and that is essentially like the philosophy of valuing time. That is it.
Um, I have no words for it, but yeah, go on.
Yeah,
You just like
it's a story.
told like something like different perspective, but yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, and this is something which is going to be very personal, as in like what are your values and what are things which you have picked up from the internet which have stuck with you over a long period of time. And these are the things which, if you quickly before the start of the day, if you just browse through them, I think that will add a lot of value. So this is so I'll move on to the next item. So the idea of having a journal has a lot of great people have talked about the value of having a journal. And some of us like have friends who do this on a notebook of sorts. But what I've realized is that when I have to face like a blank piece of paper, it's very difficult for me to uh, come up with thoughts or come up with words. And obviously doing it on paper, the other problem that I see is that you cannot necessarily go back and review them, or maybe use it in some other perspective. It's kind of, once it's there in the notebook, I think it's very difficult to then use it in a later period of time. So the idea behind having a journal on Evernote was that, can I have like a template of sorts? So basically these are like the 3 parts that I've divided my journal template into. So the first part that you see is basically a gratitude journal. So the first question is a gratitude journal. The second one is just planning my day, figuring out what are the 3 main priorities for the day. And the middle section that you see is more like some random thing comes up into my mind that, hey, I have to check how my campaign is doing, or can I just quickly check whether how many visitors are there on my website, things like that. But those are things which I can check at the end of the day as well. Or some idea comes up and I want to I don't want it to distract, like I don't want that distraction to come up and ruin my flow. So that's where I kind of record some of the items there, so I could put in a YouTube video which maybe somebody shared on WhatsApp, or on Slack channel, and I want to review it later, something like that. You can obviously these are all very loose guidelines, and these are just ideas for you to think about how you can start something like this. Like you don't have to necessarily copy it, but the essence of this session is just to seed some ideas that okay, these are the ways you can use Evernote. And yeah, and the last part is just an end of day review where I kind of try to figure out how my day has gone, and is there something which could have been done to improve my day, things like that. And more or less, as in like some days obviously you miss out on it, but just having like a template of sorts, I think it makes it easier for me to stick to journaling as a habit. Otherwise I'm not sure this idea would have stuck without having this template. So I'll share this template later on, and you can pick and choose which questions. One quick suggestion is, as you can see, I love emojis, so emojis always help. So that's something which you can just make sure you can add it to add some color to your notes and stuff, things like that. So you can see this similar thing with my daily fill notebook and such. So I hope things are making a little bit of sense, as in like what's the reason behind having the session. So if you have any questions, feel free to butt in, and I'll be happy to kind of. So the last thing that I'd like to talk about is like the capturing method, as in I'm consuming so many notes on Instapaper thing on Pocket that. So I'll quickly, maybe if you can see my screen, there is this service called If This Then That. So this is a service like Zapier, if some of you might have heard of Zapier. So what it does, it basically plugs two applications together. It gives you simple scripts to. So what I've set up here is basically, if I have an Instapaper, so I'll quickly demo it as well. Just wait for this to open up. So the idea behind having this is that just a second. So you can very easily set up an applet on this service, and what it will do is that, let's say you have an article like this. You're reading, this was one of the articles that I had shared in our last newsletter. So the thing is that you can kind of highlight these articles, and what the script will do is
Okay. Yeah.
This is one of those days where things are going wrong like anything. Anyways, where did I lose you guys? Devansh, can you help me?
Instapaper.
Like setting the applet.
Okay, yeah. So
The website didn't load. Yeah.
just a second. So as you can see, as in this is like an article which I've saved in Instapaper, and Instapaper is a service which I really, it makes the reading experience much better. But the thing about using Evernote effectively is that you don't want to capture the whole article, because this article is, I think, approximately more than 1,000 words, or even 1,500 words, because it's a pretty long article. But the value of highlighting is that you can quickly see the portions which are interesting to you at that particular moment. And what that applet will do is, let me just sync it. So as you can see, this is all getting appended into into this node that you can see with a link. So this has a link to the website as well. So if you want, you can, in the future, you can always refer to the original resource. But this collection of highlights from an article will hold much more of importance than the whole article itself, because this is like distilled knowledge, not everything. Like the idea behind having is creating a subset, like a personal subset of sorts, where over a period of time, let's say you're interested about cooking, or how to, or maybe fitness. You consume a lot of articles on the internet about fitness. So you can start capturing this information into Evernote, and over a period of time, if you let it grow, you will start to see some ideas emerge. And these are the references that you'll use to create something which is like a remix of sorts. But then this resource will be very, very, let's say, like, this is one way to basically be creative. You curate, then you add your own perspective, and basically then suddenly you have a resource, or you create something which is of value. So yeah, I think that is the gist of the things that I wanted to share. I think I didn't even take 15 minutes. So let's just maybe take a 5-minute break, and use this break to answer any questions that you have regarding these three ideas that I have, and then I'll let Devansh. uh,
Yeah, Abhishek, do you use tags in Evernote?
no, I don't use tags.
Even tags are really helpful.
Yeah, tags are helpful in the sense, but Evernote does have a really good search option.
Search. Yeah.
So if you can, like, if there are keywords which are there in your note, then it's very easy. Like, you don't need to necessarily tag them separately. Guys, the stunned silence.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is making sense. I'm happy to clarify, because I'm not sure whether I did a good job of you know uh, portraying these ideas. But trust me, I think these ideas have been very, very helpful for me. Yeah, Shantu, go ahead, man. Uh, Shantu, are you? Do you categorize the block snippets across different topics? Could you just clarify that question? Maybe
Can
unmute
you hear
yourself.
me?
Yeah.
So for example, let's say there are three areas where I'm interested in: programming, nutrition, and let's say productivity.
Hmm.
So the links that I'm browsing, they are very different. And maybe if I have separate notebooks, like what approach would you recommend? Would you recommend the notebook approach, or would you recommend tags approach, or like how should I quickly get things related to that topic?
I think notebook should be fine, as in like, if you can see my screen, I believe my screen is still being shared, right? So if you can see, my
Yeah.
notebooks are actually classified under different sections. So if you can see, I have this health notebook. So as you can see, there's this home exercise ritual. So maybe you can do something similar, I would say.
Okay.
Some,
Okay.
and like, one idea would be, obviously, like, this is something which I really liked from this post, which was projects over categories. So if you can see this part, so what this guy is saying, that you don't need to categorize your information. Like, if you categorize your information as a library, what happens is that that information is just sitting there. It's not being used in any project, or it's not being used uh, creatively. But if you start thinking in terms of projects, what happens is that all of this input that is coming into Evernote, or whatever note taking system that you're using, then you start to think about, okay, like, let's say I'm writing an article on how to work, like, how to take care of your fitness while working from home. Let's say that, if that is like the question that I have in mind, you can you can do a Google search, and do this. But think about the value if you have like a personal knowledge of repository of notes that you have, and then you can just do a quick search, and then you find 2 or 3 notes which you have saved over a period of time. That information is of much more value than like a Google search would ever do.
Thanks.
That's
That's a really good suggestion, like using projects to categorize this. Because right now I was using notebooks, and some notebooks had like 1,300 links, and those links are just sitting there. I'm not able to use them towards any productive purpose. So I think that's a very good idea. Thanks.
okay. Cool, man. Happy to help. Any other questions, guys? Otherwise, I think we are good to get Devansh on the hot seat. Cool. I think I would, now ask Devansh to talk a little about Notion, and maybe we can then, leave the last 5 or 10 minutes for questions, if any. Yeah. Devansh, over to you, man.
Yeah. Okay. I'll share my screen now. Abhishek, I cannot share my screen. I think you need to access some, give me some permission or something.
Just try now.
Yeah. Yeah, I can now. Okay. So can everyone hear me?
Yeah, man, loud and clear.
Loud and clear, right? Yeah. So just adding on to what Abhishek was doing. So I actually manage tags also. So in my Evernote, I use Evernote also. I'm a heavy note taker, so I use, like, I'm a kind of a geek in this category. So over the time, right, over the period of time, so you have these things called tags. So now I have this tag cloud. So like, say if I want to just read book summaries, right, so I can just click over here and see all the book summaries that I have. So I have this under the tag called books also. So this is one of it. This is notes on deep work.
Nice.
Abhishek, I'm just adding more to Evernote.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yeah, I also have something called, like, I also have notebooks also, but I also manage tags very efficiently. Like say I used to do a lot of Android work earlier. So Android will have a lot of these things, and all Android related links or topics or whatever snippets I had saved earlier. I used to, I can easily access all those topics from here.
Right.
This is just one of the things that I did, was very effective for me using Evernote. All right. So I'll quickly jump to Notion. Okay.
Yeah.
How many of you guys have actually used Notion or heard about Notion or tried Notion at all?
I use on day-to-day life. Actually.
Yeah, right.
So
So
I've
how
seen
many
with
haven't actually?
Notion as their landing page. So
Yeah.
they basically put a DNS entry for their Notion notebooks, and it becomes their site. So
Yeah.
that you
Basically, you don't even need to do that. You just need to do the share and it just becomes public. Anyways, so this is my journal system in Notion, right? So this is something called where I've been doing a lot of work. So this is like a new page on Notion. This is kind of an entry point, like just say for journal. Okay, once this is done, then we have something called, this is kind of my system, opinionated system, but I'll tell you how it is and how you can change and modify it according to you.
Cool, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so basically how it's divided is it's like a year, and then inside year you have months, and then inside months you have like days and weeks and all that. So that's how I do the planning and everything. So like right now, currently the year is 2020, but I haven't kept it. I've kept it empty right now. I'll explain more about this later. Hold on. Yeah. So. So now this is something I've created a template button. Notion has a feature of something called template button. So I've created a template button for month. Basically, when you click on a new month, you can it creates a new template. Month of 2020 was actually the template title. So let's say I want to create it for May or for again April, right? So this will be an April of 2020. Just zoom out a little bit. Yeah. So then you can have, I already have these things panned out. So this is like monthly goals, what I want to achieve monthly, like say lose 2 kgs of weight. And then something else, and then something else.
Sweet.
And then task is like, okay, so monthly I need to do this thing. Maybe for now, April, there's nothing else to do, but I had to send mail to someone. Memories is this section. I use it as a like a kind of a what went good or kind of a review, or some memories like I met this friend after 10 years. And then I can, so now Notion also has one important thing is it has keyboard shortcuts. So if it says, right, type / for command. So if you type /, then it will add basic blocks. So you can add a text, you can add a page, you can add a to-do list, heading 1. So this follows the HTML pattern: heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, bulleted list, numbered list, toggle list, quote, divider, link to a page, call out. So I'll just explain a few of these things with current workflow itself, like how to leverage all these things in Notion. So basically, you can see how many options you have. You can embed a video, audio, a lot of code snippets is also very rich feature that you can add code, and Google Drive and everything like that. Figma. So it's very powerful in that situation if you think of it. And there is one more thing. Okay, so now let's say if I want to add a bullet list, right? List. So this is a bulleted list. Okay, so this month I spoke about Notion, right? So let's say books to read. So now I want to read this many books. So this becomes my monthly overview. What I would like to do is this. I like to do this at the beginning of each month, and this is something called categories. I basically your life fits into 5 or 6 personal buckets, and I like to do this every often because what I feel is I'm unhappy whenever life is out of balance in any of these things. Like when I'm in sync with all these categories of my personal and work life, then I feel very content and happy with my life. But if something goes out of balance, like say I'm working too much but I haven't paid much attention to my fitness, then also I feel a bit sad, or I haven't connected with a lot of people, like relationship, like it may be any sort of relationship with your parents, friends, and something like that. And then something fun, fitness. So basically for the entire month you can create your goals or what you'll do in this month. And like for work and business, I want to scale it this time. For fitness, I'll do skipping, jump ropes every day, and I'll eat clean. For fun, like say I'll just do something crazy, like I'll dance this month is a, like I'll take a personal challenge to learn dance by myself. So now for the month you have something called week. So now this is again a template button. I'll again explain to you how to create a template button. So basically, just say you start a new week. So this a week's template is generated now. So you can start filling up a new week. So the same thing I've added in the week. This is, I know, very redundant, but this is how I like to do things. So yeah, so this is like a task also I'll explain bit further. So we have something called filter, and I'll explain this again later. So again, in weekly you have something called weekly goals. Maybe you have some task or call scheduled for each week, and then you have categories, all of these. You don't actually, I don't fill these up every week, but every few weeks I fill this up. But it's good to have as a field instead of writing it down or having a blank mind. And then you can actually review your add anything later on. So this is kind of that. And then you have something called new day. This is again a template. So I'm adding a new day, and let's just say over here. So you add a new day, and this is April 11th. So it comes up as today. So now this is like a daily habits checklist. So I did not wake up at 4. Like, so 1991 is a concept like work for the first 90 minutes of the day, work on 90 minutes on your idea or something. Then exercise, meditation, like deliberate practice. This is just your daily habit checklist that has to be done. Then we have, this is like a daily journaling template now, not more of the planning, but more of the daily journaling. So now we have something called, in the morning there's this drop down. Okay, so this is called 5 minute journal. It's very much similar to what Abhishek had. So I am grateful for being alive during the time of coronavirus or something like that. So I'm grateful for plumbing. Sometimes I'll just write, I'm grateful for plumbing, because if you just think of it in the context of history, if plumbing wasn't there, you'll have to go to the river or whatever the local source of water is, fill up water tanks and all that stuff. So from there we've evolved into, like, you get water onto your tap. So basically for that, just to get water into your houses, there has to be an entire network of pipelines that had to be laid up, and the plumbing into your building or apartment complex itself. So even that's so much complicated, and that you're getting it for granted. So basically the idea is to be grateful for all these small things in life. And affirmations is also something I believe in. Like, I'll add some affirmative quotes or something of that sort. Yeah. So then two priorities is like, what are your top two priorities? Most of the stuff from this thing I've picked up from uh, Tim Ferriss's book, like a combination of a lot of places. Initially, it used to be something else, then it used to be something else. Then this is goals is a very interesting part. So let's say top two priorities for me today is like, fix that bug, change theme in the app or something, right? And this is more work related. So basically, second priority would be exercise or something like that, or talk to someone close. Then we have something called goals. This is like important thing. So if you have something called yearly targets, right? And you, so basically I divide my year into three big targets I need to achieve. Like, say this template was for 2019. So now I need to modify the template for 2020, basically. Yeah. So basically a six pack didn't happen obviously in 2019. So it got forwarded to this year, 2020. Digital nomad, it did happen. So like, okay, this went good. And this also didn't happen, but I wanted to put something really crazy into this, so that I give it a thought every day. So every day for this thing, something like, something as crazy as earning $1 million will be like a mind tinkering thing that I am reminded of every day. Okay, if I one day I want to reach $1 million in 2020. So if today, if I want to reach that goal, what are the two action steps that I need to take today? So let's say read a book, right? On wealth. This is one step that you can do, and then another could be keep working on the app. So this is like a long-term perspective. So this helps me keep being focused on kind of a long-term goal. Then this is something very cool and handy that I did was, this is linked to something databases and stuff. So yeah, tasks. Okay. So this will be interesting. I'll show you how this is interesting. So now let's say you have things to do that is today, like this is like, apart from the priorities, this is like, okay, this is actual to-do list, like get a haircut.
So Devansh,
And then, yeah.
just to, like, I think let's just take a step back, as in, I think this
Sure.
might be like, as in, like, personally this is getting a little overwhelming for me, as in, like, there's so many things going on. So can we maybe focus only on one particular part, as to, like, how you have created a template, let's say the quarterly system that you have, like deciding.
Yeah.
I think we can obviously,
Okay. Okay. So
like,
yeah, so let's get to over here. So I created another copy of the same thing, right? So now I'll start with the yearly thing, right? So let's just start with creating a note. So I put the / over here, and then I'll add a page. So you can embed pages in bullet journal. So it comes with a link, bullet journal template, and then this thing. So then year 2020, let's say, right? So then you can start with an empty icon, and these are already templates or hints that you can add to this page. So let's come up with, okay, so targets for 2020. So I'll put a heading. Targets for 2020 is like, you can add a bullet list. Then you can add, okay, get 6 packs and something of that sort. Then you can add anything. So basically add heading 1, and then let's say uh, things to do or places to go. This is a really bad time to add places to go, but let's just put it. Okay, so then I can add either numbered list or a page again itself, and toggle list, a quote, a divider. Like you can form, there are a lot of formatting options that you have. So let's create a numbered list. So I want to go to, let's say, Europe. I'll choose all the worst places now. Okay, and then let's go for, again, let's say Singapore. Then you can, and one more thing that you can do is you can select these, and then you get this small icon, and then you can actually drag it over here. Then you can actually, this is how you can add columns and format these lists. Yeah. So, and then you have more formatting options, as in like you have color, you can add color to anything, like, yeah, places to go over here. And then you can add a background color also. So this is, let's add a back, yeah. And then as Abhishek said, right, emojis are really fun over here. So in most of the pages, even I'll have emojis and like, yeah, calendar or something of that sort. So now it starts to look really clean and nice. Now, important thing will be, so now that you can come back and this is year 2020. Now the fun begins is, let's say I add over here, I'll add something called template button. Yeah, so this is a template button. So now it creates a template button. It's as easy as dragging and dropping it over here and then deleting whatever it is, this thing. Now this is new year. Like basically the template button will be called a new year, and then close. Hold on. Do we have the save button? I think close is the button. Yeah. So now this template button is created. Now what you do, if you create a new year, now this template is recreated. Okay, new year 2020, right? And places to go, this is somewhere. Okay, so this is where I'm going in 2020. But coming back, now I'm adding a new year again. So in the new year, this is year 2021 now. In 2021 with the same templates. So imagine, go crazy over here now. So the targets will be different for you, fitness targets or something, financial targets, and all these things you can add. So now in the same method, right? In the same thing, inside year you can add months, and inside months you can add days, and inside days you, like inside months you can add quarters, weeks, months, and something like that. You can, so this is how the my monthly template is for me personally, right? So now this is, you can fill this up same categories with yearly template also. And then like I have divided a 4-column based weekly target. So inside this is again for a week. So this creates a new week.
Cool, man. I think Devansh, this is very helpful. Just seeing this template creation in action. I think that's where the power of.
There's one more thing which is very powerful is like, so this is the structure of my entire this thing, collections. Something I really like to do is create collections of books, quotes, questions and prompts, affirmations, gratefulness, and this is the format of the journal that I have usually. Like this is the nested tree. So basically, this is how I actually visualized it. This is the structure of my journal is going to be. And then I actually went on to create the same structure over here. So now we have something called databases, right? So databases also have something like, I do it in a drop down list fashion because it's easier to have an overview and quickly access it. But you can have it like a full task database. Like, so if I add a new task, okay, so buy milk. Now this thing is like assigned, okay, fine. So I want it to be done on, let's say, Thursday, and this category, you can add a tag now. Category is errands. So this becomes an errand. No, so this is also very important. This is why I'm liking Evernote, is how flexible it is with databases and different formats of data, basically. So start date, let's put it as today Excel. End date is like, okay, this is 1 day event in progress. So you can add to do, and then you can add more stuff, right? So you can add doing. This is something which I just created. So create doing. So it will create that template now. So if you want to change anything, you'll always have these two sections. Then priority is for work related tasks. So I usually add one exclamation as single priority. I sometimes add two exclamation and three exclamations. Now you can select priority and based on this. So I'll just add a couple of more tasks and I'll show you how this can be converted into a Kanban or something of a different sort. So let's say, right, I want to finish this thing by, let's say, Saturday or something like that. And then this is work. So create work, it creates work and adds that tag. And then you have something called start date is today, let's say, and then end date for this thing can be extensible. Like this can be a longer thing. And then this is something, this is priority. This now what happens is we have something called add a view over here. If you select on add a view, you can view this same thing as a table or as a Kanban board or as a calendar or as a list or as a gallery, right? So let's just try switching it up. Now, right now we're in the table mode. It just views everything as a normal table. So, but if I want to view this thing as a board, right? So it creates a view. And yeah, so now based on the priority, your tasks are categorized. But you can change the group by tag. So by day also you can do. So for Thursday, I have something like this, and for Saturday, I have something like this. Then same thing can be done by categories, work and errands. So this is where the power comes in now. And then progress to doing. So you can, and then drag and drop also like you do in Trello. So this completely eliminated my need for Trello over here. Then you can, if you want another view, then you can view the same table as a database. If someone has used Airtable, they'll understand this. So now for today's date, I can view this and then I can move around thing over here. So this is where it starts becoming really powerful. And this is not it, right? Now we have a task over here. Let me get back to you to the and same in similar way, you can track your expenses and stuff. I used this thing to track my expenses while I was traveling and it worked flawlessly. I'll show you that also in a bit. So now let's say we are in this month, right? This is the completely fresh template. So why I'll show you. So now remember the tasks that we created. So filter date is today, right? So if I add a new task over here, it's not creating, and I don't know why.
Just refresh. Like, is there something of a refresh or something? But basically, the task that you have created will show up here.
Exactly, those
right?
tasks are linked over here. So let's say a new week and everything. And over here also for daily also the tasks are linked everywhere. Same table, same database. See the buy milk and everything, it's already come up over here.
Right.
And then if you filter, this is from week, right? Then if you add a filter over here and set it as weekly thing, so date.
You can go really crazy on Notion now.
Exactly, yeah. Today, and then you can add another filter over here, and this becomes set in the template if you put it inside the template. So every month it will be automatically generated for you.
Everything, pivot tables plus Airtable plus Trello, everything
exactly.
is being, combined into
Yeah,
one
so
product,
now,
which is Notion.
and now this is also very redundant. Basically, I can convert this daily into a habit tracker. I can create a database for this and then add a link to that. So it will be tracked. If I check this over here, it will be reflected in the database. I can have an overview of the monthly or yearly also, and then add templates or add some tagging or something of that crazy sort. So this is same thing. I'll give you a good example over here. So let's say I add a task 1, then task 2, right? So basically, when I'm planning the day, this is where I'll put the task. I won't put it over here. So now once this is done, okay, these are confirmed. I'll just drag this from here and drop it over here. Now what will happen is if we go back to our databases, those tasks are here. Yeah, so should appear somewhere over here. Maybe I need a refresh over here or somewhere else, but it usually does reflect over there. Basically, this database is linked over there.
So, Devansh, this is been really
Yeah.
useful. If it's possible, could you share your expense tracker sheet, like the real
Yeah,
one,
sure.
which you used
Yeah,
during
yeah.
the trip?
Yeah. So now, so this is an example of my day. This is not today, right? So let's get back over here. Okay. So in over here, I have something called databases, and then I have something called expenses. Yeah. So this is the expense tracker over here. Let's do. Okay. Then this is for Bangkok. I've added as a tag and all these sort of things, right? So now if I want to track the total amount I've spent in somewhere, some category, right? This is very handy. So now let's say if I want to add some filters. So place contains Bangkok. Instead of Bangkok, I want to check in Chiang Mai or Kuala Lumpur or Georgetown, let's say Georgetown, right? Now I can see if I spent any money in Georgetown. All my money in Georgetown is this much amount of money. Now, if I want to go even more further, I can add a filter, okay? And then I can add tags, and then I can add tags contains, let's say transit, okay, or food, let's say food. So okay, this is for everywhere for food. This is how much amount of money I've spent, right? Then I can add more filter over here is contains, or so this has to be an and. So in Georgetown, and food is like this much amount of money I've spent over here. So plus this was, let's say if I check the date, this is in October, right? Let's go to my journal entry on October. So this would be fun. This is October, right? Okay, so this, if you can see, right, my things have changed. Work on the app. So I've added this thing like a more visible way of theme of the month. Do the book on this thing, connect with people, grow person, this thing and this thing. Okay, so books to read, anti-fragile, and all these things, relationships. So this, you can see this is how it was. So let's say this is the week of 1 to 6, week of 7 to this thing. Okay, October, let's say 9th. Oh, this is the database linked over here. That's why. That database is linked to my actual database. This is why task 1, task 2, task 3 came up over here. Okay, evening, there should be something called the expenses, or yeah, this is evening. Okay, so if you can see expense tracker, just for this date, I have this thing, and for food, there's something I put in for food. So these entries are linked. So what I did most of the days was I spent, during the end of the day, I would review, okay, I spent 500 rupees on something, on noodles, right? Then what I used to do is I used to just drag this and drop it over here, and it would automatically be logged into the database. This is what I wanted to show you guys just. And it would automatically be lodged into that same database. So it's easy to link things over here and go crazy with all this sort of stuff. Create your own system, create your own format, and yeah, it's just there's so many things that you can do with Evernote. I have not even scratched the surface, and I know it feels overwhelming to you right now because that's how I felt initially. So I finally got stuck with Evernote because I really wanted to move on from my hand journaling system and wanted something digital and this flexible. So I took almost a week to learn the next nitty gritty and small things of Notion. So that's how I like actually came to understand it. But earlier I like just for the sake of it, I wanted to try, and it felt really complex, so I did not continue with it even. So this was my third attempt, and in third attempt I finally adopted Notion.
So Devansh, are there any good, tutorials or
Yeah.
bookmarks that you have
So actually
come
the
across for Notion?
best place for Notion is actually their website itself. So if you
Because
can just
I've
come to
used
this.
Notion, and it feels that
Yeah.
it
So
has a learning curve, as in like at least at the start. Yeah.
exactly, it definitely has a learning curve. So you see this thing, this is Notion's website. They have their own, and it's completely built. Whatever they've built it's on their own platform using whatever I just told you guys.
Right.
So if you can explore over here, right, Notion template gallery. So if you can see, you can clone these or duplicate these galleries by yourself. Yeah. So now COVID-19 resources, like because COVID-19 is going big right now and it's taken over everything. But for starters, for students, they already have created a lot of templates. You can just click on any of these and duplicate this thing for your own stuff. So you can really explore the possibilities of Notion just by looking at these templates. Yeah. This is where you get started on templates part. And this is templates. This is even more extensive from what I was using it
Mm.
from the community also, like all of
Yeah.
these things. So basically you create your own system over here. And then after that, if you go back to Notion official, if you want to learn about stuff, right, then what's new, you can go over here.
So,
They've,
Devansh, yeah, I think we have
yeah,
already crossed 6. Yeah, we just crossed 6 p.m. So let's
yeah.
just maybe wrap up today's call by
Yeah,
having some questions. Yeah.
basically to learn anything, Notion's official website is quite good. You learn anything and everything. Everything is documented quite nicely over here. Now I'll actually take some questions or like discuss this thing because it was a lot of things, a lot of information very fast. I understand that.
Yeah.
Guys, do you have any questions?
So I think Shantu has one. I'll just
Yeah.
share that. So he's asking whether whether you do something like a developer log, like if you're like working on
Uh,
Android stuff, do you maintain a list of Stack Overflow questions or blog articles when you get stuck?
I'm not the best at it, but I started doing it recently. So let's say if I maintain something called an inbox. So this is like where I have a collection of everything over here. So health and fitness go here, mind up on something like that and something like this. And then something I have over here is called dev stuff. So React Native, I've just created a list of people to follow like this. It's very basic. I know I can go do a lot of steps. So for Android, we have something like this, and there's not a link because I just started using Notion for a few things. But one good thing is you can add code directly over here. Yeah, Vidhu, right? I'll share the templates. I actually created a template for this thing. This actually is a template, and I'll just clean it up after the session is done because it's linked to my database and not the database over here. So I'll just link it and share the link after in Slack community itself. So coming back to here, so in React Native and all this stuff, I can actually add a code snippets over here. So that's really powerful in Notion again. So you can just add something like this code, and then you can add JavaScript. Yeah, so import something from something, right? Yeah, I think I saw some questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I can share some details like how I do it. One second, I'll just
Yeah, Ashish, I'll let
Yeah,
you.
so for Chrome extension, I've added something like this. I wanted to learn on the Chrome extension, so I created my own sort of personal small notes or something of that sort. I added this image. So
Nice.
there's a lot of stuff. I haven't even like touched the surface on what can be done over here for to take notes or organize stuff or. And this
Yeah,
is so
yeah.
extensive. You can have any sort of system over there for your own. Like anything that fits good with you, you can do it.
right. Yeah, this
Uh,
is pretty expensive. I mean,
Ashish,
yeah.
do you
So
want to share
can you?
your?
Yeah, I want to share my screen.
Yeah, sure. Should I'll stop my share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just share my screen. So this is how I manage my brainstorming. So let's say I am a DevOps. So I kind of have workflowy notes, which basically is like, let's say if I want to uh, do something on note taking. So I'm not sure if anybody has heard about workflowy. It is really good for brainstorming. So let's say I'm doing something on note taking. So I can just go inside and like talk about, let's say, what is that? Evernote. Then inside Evernote, I have something. Then inside that, I have something. And I could just zoom in here inside note taking and it stays there. Then I also have it here, like inside this. And it actually kind of uh, simulates your brain's activity, like the neural net sort of thing, where you have links to everything. Inside that, you have links. Inside that, you have some more links, and similarly I have actually created various things. So the dev stuff that I was talking about, so basically this repo is there. Then let's say inside my ideas I have let's see, which is not this so this one, email cleaner. So regarding this, I have these many repos, so I could just save that, and it is pretty customizable here. So that way what happens is I don't have any set framework for anything. It's just about whenever I think of something, I just add that kind of node here, and inside that I go on adding stuff. So these are kind of ideas that I have sometimes, so I just kind of keep on adding stuff there. And it's basically a brain dump, like you have it there in your notes, but it's more towards like it sort of matches with the way you think about various things. Like you have tens of links to it, and then you go on deeper and deeper and deeper, that it keeps on growing. And once you could also zoom out and go back to stuff likewise. So this is what I do for my brain dumps. And yeah, so for coding as well, I do this kind of stuff. Like uh, so it's like you could document each and everything. So I just wanted to know if other people also have similar kind of workflow for their brainstorming or not. And for coding as well, like I said, for coding also, I keep on creating nodes and add the links there rather than having a set framework.
Yeah, I think I use a note for deployment. Like deployment is something which I find it like it's very difficult for me to go back to Stack Overflow and figure out everything from scratch. So once I have like a process going, let's say I'm working on Elixir right now. So that's something with once I figured it out, it always makes sense to just document that. And you don't have to be like, because you're not sharing it on the internet, right? So it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be perfect. It just needs to be enough so that you know what to do.
Yeah, it's kind of a link of links where you just kind of get what you want when you need it. And I also have started using Trello very extensively for this kind of stuff, where have I want to write some blogs. So based on their categories and everything, that also I can share if everybody has the time. So this is how I do it. So basically, I have tasks of to do where I have like hundreds of these blog titles, and I also kind of keep on grooming these cards. Like, let's say I added some tweet that I found which is not interesting, which is really interesting and all. I just keep on attaching these stuff to a particular note, and then also GitHub projects.
Nice.
It's kind of in progress, but yeah, I'm actually making good progress with this part.
Hmm.
This is actually working out good for me. This tagging strategies also worked, and what happens is whenever on iPad, what I do is I kind of push the note directly from browsers plugins. So you just in iPad you have share options. So there you could just select Trello and select the board where you want to push that link or push that text, and it directly creates a card here. So if you look at this card, it is automatically created, and the link is already added to the description. It's not perfect because link should have been here, but it doesn't matter because this is basically a dump of information that I want when I need it. uh, so yeah, I mean, this is how I have been doing stuff for note taking. But I really like this Notion as well, because whatever I have been doing here on Trello, it actually has everything inbuilt. So I just have
Yeah,
to
Ashish,
learn
so
it.
that was my point actually why I shifted to Notion is because I use Trello also, I use Evernote also, and then I do the same trees uh, type of thing for kind of doing a brain dump or
Right.
organizing my thoughts. So Notion has nested levels of these things. One more important thing that I did not show is you can transform one format of data into another, like normal checklist also. So basically, the in workflow, like you had nested trees, you can convert those trees into point bullet list or checkbox or something
Yeah,
else.
yeah, that is actually cool, and it is required for me at least to select a tool which has that feature. uh, yeah, and I also used to use these mind maps, but I have been having a really hard time getting a good tool which is available on mobile, available on iPad, available on web. But today
Yeah,
itself, I had one meeting where I saw a really good tool. It is named with text called as Miro, Miro. So it's not just about mind maps, but it is amazing. I have really liked it. So I mostly give it a try. MindNote, yeah, I have seen. Then there is MindMup, which I have used. I have used iPad Mind. What is that app? 1 second, I'll just check. So there are a
I'm
lot many apps,
actually,
but the thing is,
yeah,
there is no perfect app which has everything. So
yeah, I'll agree to that.
you kind of get stuck at some place, and then you simply try to find new tool which has everything. So Simple Mind is the app which is really good for iPad if you have. Uh, and yeah, I mean, there are different diagram tools as well, but yeah, linking everything together is what Notion has done really great. I mean, does it support draw.io and all those stuff?
Yeah, it actually does. You can just link those pages into Notion and they are embedded in your
Right. Yeah.
notebook.
Yeah. Notion has
Oh,
very
cool.
good integrations with other,
Yeah,
like tools.
looks like it, I should give it a try because I have struggled a lot with notes. Uh, I am a note junkie, as you people are, so everything is pretty much organized in notes. Uh,
Yeah.
and I have been transitioning from, like, I was mobile dev, then I went to backend dev, then I went to and DevOps, and then after that I started my own company. So the thing is, you kind of keep on switching the context, and you kind of need a place where you could dump your data, which
Right.
is
Yeah.
organized, which is searchable, and then you kind of get that content whenever you need it. So that is where the search has been going on. But yeah, I really liked your demo. You have explored it a lot. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So I also wanted to explore like handwritten notes using iPad, so using Apple Pencil and stuff. But that's very expensive. I felt very expensive at that
I
point.
actually
Now
have it right now. I could show you how it works if everybody has it.
I actually have seen it, so
Okay.
I'm just waiting to try it on, like get buy an iPad and try it on.
So the best part of handwritten notes is if you use Apple Notes app, it actually searches the handwritten text.
Yeah, it does an Evernote also, I think.
Evernote didn't work that well. This Apple one really worked really good. Really,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
even figured out what should be the title out of that handwritten note and what should be the actual body of it. So it
Impressive.
goes to that level. And yeah, the pencil, it's also really good stuff because when you are like thinking, your hand works very fast than typing. So that way I find it very cool to use pencil and do the brainstorming there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I think we already passed time. So maybe I'll just quickly try to summarize the things. So the idea behind having this Zoom call was not to like give you recipes or not to like overwhelm you with all of this information. It was more about kind of giving, let's say, inspiration of what are the different ways you can actually uh, create systems out of your notes, because essentially what is happening is that we are doing a lot of things which are repetitive in nature, but we don't realize it. We are consuming a lot of information, but at the end of the day we realize, oh, what is the use of consuming so much information. And as Ashish pointed out, that as we are moving up the ladder, basically, like when we started off we were just a junior developer, then we started to manage teams, and now if we are running companies, what happened, the key thing is all about creating systems, creating these processes, and one of the great ways is actually just documenting them or writing them. And I think all of these ideas, the gist of this is it's very personal. It's like what works for me or what works for Devansh might not work for you necessarily, but you might this session was just to give you some, let's say, ideas and get you excited about using these tools more in a more extensive fashion. So I hope that purpose has been fulfilled by this session. If you have
Yeah,
more
that,
questions, if you have more questions, I think we can take them on the Slack channel, and we can always maybe do like a deeper dive session in one of the future calls. Anything else, Devansh, that you would like to add? Maybe just to end up
No,
the
it's
call.
just that. Yeah, if anyone has questions.
uh, I think that is pretty much it. So unless yeah, so I
Yeah,
think
I'll share the template at the by the end of the day, I think.
cool. Yeah, I was also writing a blog post before the call, so maybe I'll share that as well.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in, and thanks for staying through all of the technical hiccups that we had today. Really
so
sorry
Abhishek,
for.
do you have anything planned for like people who are starting with newsletter sort of thing or blogging sort of thing? So basically, it's towards community outreach and all. So any plans for that?
Uh, Let me just stop recording the session.